After my father passed, I needed support. My husband promised, "You don't have to go through this alone." But when I came back from the funeral home one evening, I found him arguing with someone in the kitchen. "You said she'd be gone all night," he hissed. I peeked in and saw my childhood friend in my apron, stirring soup. I didn't say a word, just took a photo and left. A month later, that photo was the cover of my new blog, Grief, Gaslighting, and Getting Even. I'm 39. Or maybe I was just 39 when my entire life cracked in half. My name's Rachel. I lived in Asheville, North Carolina, in a quiet little neighborhood with white fences, overgrown azaleas, and too many people who know each other's business. I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer in the fall. He was gone fast. 3 months from diagnosis to the last breath. I don't think people understand what it does to you when someone like that dies. My dad was everything to me. He was the one who showed up when other people didn't. The one who didn't talk a lot but always came when I needed help. When I got a flat tire in college, he drove 3 hours just to fix it himself. When I broke my arm, he was the one who stayed up in the air all night, holding my good hand. He wasn't perfect, but he was my person. When he died, I felt like a tree with no roots. The day he passed, I sat next to his hospital bed, holding his hand. The machines were quiet. Mark, my husband, was behind me. He wrapped his arms around me and said, "You don't have to go through this alone. I've got you." And like a damn fool, I believed him. The days after were pure hell. I was splitting my time between Dad's house, where I grew up, and our house. I was sorting through boxes of photos, old tools, dusty army medals, and a stack of old vinyls he swore he'd never throw away. I planned the funeral, met with lawyers, signed death certificates, picked out urns. I was grieving, drowning, exhausted. Mark kept telling me he'd handle things at home. Said he'd cook, clean, make sure the house was calm when I got back. I remember that Thursday night like a scar. I had spent most of the day at the funeral home, finalizing everything. It had been a rough day. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept much in weeks. I wanted to go home, shower, maybe sit on the porch with Mark and just breathe. I pulled into the driveway. The kitchen light was on. I walked up the steps to the back door and noticed it was cracked open. That was weird. Mark always closed it. Always. He was kind of obsessive about locking up. I stepped inside quietly. My keys barely jingled. I heard voices. "You said she'd be gone all night," a man hissed. It was Mark. A woman answered, her voice low. The funeral home closed early. I didn't think she'd come back yet. I inched closer, heart pounding. I could hear a spoon clinking against a pot. Then I turned the corner. And there she was, Lena, my best friend since the 3rd grade, wearing my apron, stirring a pot of soup. In my kitchen, I froze. My brain couldn't catch up with what I was seeing. Her blonde hair was tied up like she owned the place. My apron was stained with tomato. She was barefoot, laughing quietly at something Mark said. I didn't say a damn word. I backed away, slow.
Pulled out my phone.
Took a picture. The click was quiet. Neither of them noticed. I left through the back door. Drove straight to an old motel just outside of town. I sat on the bed and stared at the photo for what felt like hours. The woman who had slept in my bed during sleepovers. Who helped me through my parents' divorce. Who cried with me when my first boyfriend dumped me. She was in my home with my husband, stirring soup like it was her kitchen. The betrayal sat like a rock in my chest. I didn't cry. Not that night. I didn't even scream. Something in me went cold. The blog came a month later. Grief, Gaslighting, and Getting Even. I didn't post names. I didn't say Mark or Lena. I just told the truth. In full detail. The post started with the grief. How watching someone you love die slowly makes everything else feel small. How you can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're sinking alone. Then I wrote about the betrayal. About the soup. About the apron. About the sound of a spoon clinking and a whisper in the kitchen. I used the photo as the blog's banner. I blurred their faces, just enough that only people who really knew them would recognize it. And boy, did people recognize it. The blog blew up in days. People commented. People shared. Emails poured in. At first it was strangers. Then it was locals. Then it was people from our own town. Is this about who I think it is? Oh my God. I know exactly who this is. Mark's coworkers read it. Lena's church group shared it in a group chat. People whispered. Some asked me outright. I never confirmed. I didn't have to. Mark texted. Called. Left voicemails. I didn't answer. He tried to defend himself. Said it was just one night, and that he felt alone too. He blamed grief.
Mine. His.
Said Lena was just helping and it got out of hand. I let him talk to the void. He said I was being cruel, that I was dragging this through the mud. But I hadn't even started. The more I ignored him, the more desperate Mark got. He started showing up. At first, it was just him standing on the porch, knocking, texting me that he just wanted to talk. I stayed inside Dad's house with the curtains drawn, not saying a word. Then he left flowers on the porch. Then food. Then a letter. For pages long. It started off with apologies. Said he missed me. Said grief had made him do something stupid. Then came the excuses. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was one time. I was lonely too. One time?
Bull.
I'd seen Lena's toothbrush in our bathroom when I went back weeks later to pick up some mail. Her shampoo in the shower. Her shoes by the back door. That wasn't one time. That was a whole setup. Mark wasn't sorry he did it. He was sorry he got caught. The blog got even bigger. I posted twice a week now. I told more stories, not just mine, but others too. Women started emailing me their own betrayal stories. Asked permission and posted them one by one. People responded.
Shared. Cried.
Raged. It became something more than a blog. It became a place for all of us who were left behind. All of us who got lied to and cheated on while we were already broken. I got asked to speak on a local podcast. Then a small online magazine did a piece on it. That's when Lena's mom showed up at my door. She was shaking. Looked like she hadn't slept in days. Please, she said, just take the photo down. I stood in the doorway. Why? She hasn't left her house. She's not eating. People from church won't speak to her. I raised an eyebrow. She stirred soup in my house, in my apron, while I was burying my father. Her mom had no answer for that. Just tears. I didn't publish her name, I said. She did that all by herself. She left without another word. Mark, though, he got mean. When begging didn't work, he started threatening. I'll sue you for defamation, he texted. You're ruining our lives. You're obsessed. You're unstable. People are starting to say so. That last one? That one made me laugh out loud. He was so sure the world would side with him eventually. That people would get tired of me, or bored of the blog, or start calling me the villain. They didn't. If anything, the blog just kept growing. I added a newsletter. Started writing more about healing, about grief, about rebuilding. But I never let them forget what started it all. And then something unexpected happened. A woman reached out through my contact page. Her name was Megan. She said she had information about Lena. I almost deleted the message, figured it was a troll. But something about the way she wrote made me stop. I think I'm not the only person your friend Lena's done this to, she wrote. I think you need to hear what I know. I replied to Megan the same night. She lived about an hour away in Hendersonville. Said she found my blog through a mutual friend. She asked if I'd be willing to meet somewhere public. We met at a little diner just off the highway. It was half empty, the kind of place with laminated menus and chipped coffee mugs. Megan was my age, maybe a little younger. She looked nervous, kept checking the door like someone might follow her. After we ordered coffee, she leaned in close. You don't know me, she said. But I knew Lena a long time ago. Back when we were both in a women's networking group out in Charlotte. I nodded slowly. Okay, and? She was sleeping with someone else's husband back then too. My stomach turned. Not because I was surprised, but because it fit. Megan kept talking. She has a pattern. She gets close to women, builds trust, and then moves in when things get hard. I didn't connect the dots until I saw that photo on your blog. I showed it to another woman from the group, and her jaw dropped. Because she did the same thing to her. Almost the exact same way. I sat back, stunned. She's a chameleon, Megan said. She mirrors people. Gets them to let her in. Then she takes what she wants. My mouth was dry. I thought of all the nights Lena had stayed over when I was sick. The time I lost my job and she brought wine and watched movies with me. Every soft word. Every hug. I thought she was helping. Now I wasn't so sure. Do you know if she's still doing this? I asked. Megan gave a half smile. Oh, she's doing something worse now. Then she pulled out her phone and opened a private Instagram account. It was full of lifestyle posts, decorating tips, food, self-help quotes. And there in the middle was a photo of my kitchen. My kitchen. The same counter. The same damn soup pot. And Lena. Except now, she called it Simple Comfort Cooking with Lena. She turned my kitchen into her brand. I drove home shaking. I couldn't even make it through the front door before I started sobbing. Not because of the photo. Not even because of the betrayal. Because it never stopped. She didn't regret anything. She was using my pain, my loss, as a launch pad. She built a fake identity on the ruins of my real life. That night, I wrote my longest post yet. It wasn't just about grief, or betrayal, or soup. It was about women like Lena. Women who smile in your face while looking for cracks in your life. Women who say, I'm here for you, while holding a knife behind their back. I told the whole story. Every part of it. And I didn't blur her face this time. The unblurred photo went up on a Friday night. By Saturday morning, it had been shared over 40,000 times. My inbox exploded. Some messages were from people thanking me, saying they'd been through similar betrayals. Others were from locals who had more stories about Lena. Some even recognized her from church groups, past jobs, and other towns. And then the legal threat came. Mark sent a cease and desist letter. Claimed I was harassing him and Lena, damaging their reputation. His lawyer used phrases like emotional distress and defamatory action. I printed it out and pinned it to my corkboard. Then I posted it, redacted just enough to be legal.
People tore it apart.
Comment after comment. They're the ones who wrecked her life, and now they're playing the victims? Typical narcissists. They deserve everything coming to them. Lena shut down her Instagram by Sunday night. By Tuesday, she deleted every other social media account she had. And Mark?
He lost his job.
Someone from the blog forwarded his boss the original post. Turns out his company had a strict ethics policy. They didn't like the idea of their project manager sleeping with his wife's best friend while she was at her father's funeral. He tried to blame me. Said I ruined his life. But I didn't respond to that either. Weeks passed. Then something happened I didn't expect. I got an email from Lena. The subject line just said, "Please." The message itself was short. She said she'd lost everything. Her job, her apartment, her social circle. Said she never meant to hurt me, but she knew she did. Said she was sorry. And then she asked me to take the blog down. Not because of privacy. Not because of pride. But because her mother had stopped speaking to her. Her mother, the same woman who begged me to blur Lena's face, had finally seen the full story. And she turned her back on her own daughter.
I sat with that email for a while.
I thought about deleting the blog. I thought about what my dad would have said. Don't let anger eat you, he would have said. But don't let people walk all over you either. I didn't take it down. But I did write one last post. I admitted the truth. That I wasn't innocent either. That I saw red flags in Mark for years. Times he made me feel small, or said I was too emotional. That I let Lena get too close, even when my gut told me something wasn't right. I said I'd never pretend to be perfect. But I also said this. When people use your grief to break you, you have every right to fight back. That was the final post. The blog is still up, but it's quiet now. I moved out of Asheville. I took my dad's old truck and drove west until the mountains looked different. I still wear the ring he gave me. My dad, not Mark. It's an old silver one he got at a flea market. Doesn't look like much, but it reminds me who really had my back. I don't hate Mark anymore. I don't hate Lena either. But I'll never forget what they did while I was at my lowest. And I'll never let anyone else forget either. Sometimes revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it just has to be true.